I am the consummate journalist, so I don't have favorites. Crosby's my favorite player. Why is he my favorite? Because you know what you're going to get, and you've known since 05-06. This guy, like a chain restaurant, you're going to get tremendous effort, tremendous energy, full competition out of 87 every single game. And he will go down, our own Kevin Weeks. You find him at 5 on this year's countdown. Weeksy has said he'll go down in the top 5 to ever play the sport. Johnny, that's high praise.
He's at that moment. He's approaching the Mount Rushmore. You know, it's going to be Gretz, Mario, Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe.
Hello.
Sid. And you start thinking about the greatest offensive player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, incomparable. And what Sid has done relative to Wayne, again, in an era where it's much more difficult to score. 16 straight point a game season. That is insane.
Yes.
Now, the Hart numbers haven't been there, but a lot of that's because he's been injured. A lot of those years where he would have won it. That is awesome stuff that he has done it at that level. And I think that's what we marvel at. I played against Sid his first few years. He burnt me for goals against, absolutely. And the fact that he keeps on chugging, evolving, improving, figuring out how the game is, where it's going, how it's going to be different, and how he will be successful in that new game is amazing. And he's still right there with the very best in the league. So scores goals, plays defense now, kills penalties, face-offs. We know he can do it in the clutch. We know he can do it without Malkin. We know he doesn't have to have world-class wingers. I mean, Jake Gensel's a really good player. But, you know, he's turned Jake Guentzel, he's turned Chris Cute. Like, these are players that are all good.
Right there.
They're all good players.
Yeah.
They're not great. And they play with Sid, and all of a sudden, they're awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much he can help his guys. And these guys are going to the Hall of Fame. There's no Yari Curry on this board. As good as these players are, it's just a testament to his greatness. And it's been a decade and a half of doing the same thing. You have to tip your hat to him. And I don't want to bet against him. I expect him to be really good.
Ever.
Be a point-a-game player again this year coming up because he's one of the best not only now, but he's one of the best of all time.
Yes, he is. If you go over to Chris Kunitz's house, he can show you a gold medal from the Sochi Games of 2014. That's what Sidney Crosby can do for those guys that play around him. I love that you mentioned face-offs and the fact that he's always evolving, always changing. Remember that summer where he committed himself to getting better on the dot? He came back and was much better on the dot. The idea that a player, rather than just working on what he's already good at, attacks his weaknesses to the degree that he has, where his game is complete.
When he came into the league, he wasn't great defensively. I think that was a mindset more than a skill set. He flipped that around. He could not take faceoffs. Some of that's youth. Some of that's, working at it. He flipped that around. He couldn't shoot the puck well. I'm serious. Like, he could not take one-timers when he came in the league. He had a wood blade. He got close to the net. Great backhand, great wristers, great moves. But he couldn't take one-timers. Now you see him scoring from the goal line on one-timers like he's Brett Hull.
Right.
Like, he sees the stuff that he needs to do to maintain his relevance and excellence, and he works at it.
Yes.
Greatness like his, of course, some of it's innate, and he's born with it. But he maximizes everything he's been given. And I think you have to respect that as much as anything about Sidney Crosby in his career. He is leaving nothing on the table as far as getting the most out of his game, his body, and he continues to do so year after year.
Not to take any credit away from an earlier top 10 selection in Andrei Vasilevsky. When he walks into the room, you know that an elite athlete has walked in. Sidney Crosby is built kind of like a normal dude that you'd walk by at the mall.
Except when you look at his lower half, he looks like a fire hydrant.
That's a good point.
Massive.
So in 91 and 92, when the Penguins won their back-to-back cups, the leader in playoff scoring was a guy named Mario Lemieux. He wore number 66, Le Magnifique. There's a statue of him outside PPG Paints Arena. The last two playoff seasons, the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. The leader in playoff scoring, this guy. When it counts the most, he's at his best. That's a great achievement. Even more impressive, Johnny, considering he did not play in the regular season this year. How in the world? How?
I'm not sure. You have a labrum surgery on your hip. You missed the whole year. I don't care if he's skating for 4 weeks. I mean, I've had labral surgery on my shoulders. To step back in after not playing the whole year and dropping a 32-point postseason.
Yes.
You're talking about since 91, 92, 30 years since someone's had back-to-back 30-plus point postseasons.
It's a long time.
And he's done it. And it really was amazing. You thought, well, there might be some rust, maybe on the power play, but I'm not so sure. And what I love about Kucherov, among the many things I love about Nikita Kucherov, is that he has maybe the most diverse portfolio of shots that he can choose from to score goals. So it's wrister, it's snapper, it's sweeper, it's one-timer. He can do all those different things. And I'm never quite sure, and I usually have a pretty good read of what's going to happen out there. I'm never quite sure which one he's going to go with. And so the defensemen, the goaltenders, they stay off balance, and he really just finds so many different ways to score. Not to mention, he might be a better passer than he is a goal scorer. Wow. I talk about all his greatness in the way he can score goals. He's probably a pass-first guy and is as gifted as maybe anyone besides Connor McDavid at getting the puck to where he wants him to go. And you put all that into a guy, you think, well, maybe when the going gets tough, when it gets super rugged, when guys isolate on him, take his time and space away, he won't be as productive. More productive. We saw what he does in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He gets better.
Yes.
How do you get better in the playoffs when you're one of the best in the regular season? He finds a way to be able to do it. He is a great offensive player. He can do it all individually. And not to be mistaken, sneaky tough streak. Can't push him out of a game. He's got that competitive edge to him. He'll find his space. He'll create his space if he has to. He is a pleasure to watch play.
Number 4 on our list of the best players in the NHL right now. He was drafted 58th.
Good pick. That's a good pick.
Wow. If you can be underrated yet have already won the Hart and the Art Ross, then this guy is that. A little biology lesson for you. The Sedin twins from 08-09 through 2010-11 put up 3 straight 50-plus assist seasons. Leon and his teammate Connor McDavid have done the exact same thing. Now, how twins work is that they are in the same womb. These guys grew up separately. Connor in Canada, Leon in Germany. That's amazing, right, Johnny?
And they don't always play together. And I think that's an important point we have to make. We say Leon Draisaitl at 3. The fact that he's 3 probably tells us he's grown out of the idea that, oh, he just rides. He's great, but he just kind of hangs with Connor.
True.
He picks up a lot of assists because of Connor. He does a lot of great things because of Connor. Yes, on the power play, the two of them are seemingly unstoppable. They click along at like 30% every year, and it runs through McDavid and it runs through Draisaitl. But they played as much apart, more apart than they did together last year. And I looked at some of the underlying numbers. Again, you look at scoring chances and shot shares and chances against. And Leon's numbers without Connor at 5-on-5 were stronger than Connor's numbers without Leon. So he is able to drive his own line, create his own offense, prove that he is great on his own, even though he's also fortunate to play with Connor McDavid. He can do it all in that regard. So he has officially kind of grown out of Connor's, running mate, and now is his own player, deserving of a number 3 spot. Just an excellent, excellent player. Uses a massive paddle, hard to handle a puck with, but when you watch him play, the ability to pass and receive pucks on his backhand, as good as anyone in the league. The reach that he can create in and around the net, getting his stick on loose pucks, is one of the unique parts about his game. Big frame, big reach, big paddle, and he uses it all to his advantage.
He made a big impact the time that these Oilers were able to advance in the playoffs and then ran into a Ducks buzzsaw. We can all remember Leon was very effective in that playoff run. Earlier in the top 10, you talked about Austin Matthews and the lack of postseason depth runs hurting his status. In the case of Draisaitl, how much of a factor is that?
It's a factor, I guess, if you're going to be talking all-time great. Because that's the kind of company he's keeping. That's the kind of pace he's on. When you're talking about Hall of Fame and greatest players and Oilers history, well, then you got to go deeper. But if you're just talking about just best player, most productive, most efficient, well, he's 3rd. I mean, he's clearly earned the respect of our organization here at the NHL Network.
Yes.
And I think if the hockey world, yes, they need to do more in the playoffs. Yes, they have to find a way to win, but and go deep. And at some point, I'm sure that they will. But I think people can appreciate just how how great he is, and how great he is not just because of Connor McDavid. I think that was the maybe narrative a few years ago. Not so much anymore.
It should not be. He has skated out of that shadow. While we admire the galloping greatness of Nate the Great, listen closely. Among NHL skaters to play at least 50 postseason games, McKinnon's career points per game average is the third best of all time.
What?
The guy he trails at number 1 is named Wayne Gretzky. The guy behind Gretzky and just ahead of Nate the Great, Mario Lemieux. That's the company he's keeping. All time. Extraordinary. Please expound.
Well, I mean, you think about that. I mean, just third all-time in points per game in playoffs.
Which is the important time of the year.
But you think about his game, and maybe it makes sense why it applies there. He gets better, as great as in the regular season. He gets better in the playoffs. Playoffs more intense, powerful, faster, and more emotional. All the things that he brings at a heightened level.
No doubt.
And can elevate more and draw from than most players. And so the fact that his numbers pop to that extent in the playoffs, I think speaks volumes. And we like our great players. We want to picture them being wired for success, like it mattering to them as much as anything in the world. And when you watch him play in the playoffs, and you watch his reaction when they haven't had success, you're like, yeah, like as a fan, like that's how I want my guy to feel about the playoffs.
Absolutely.
He cares so much. He puts everything, his entire year, including his diet at times, into being as great as he can be in the playoffs. And I think that's something that resonates with fans. Like, you know what? We want our guy to put his heart and soul into the playoff run. Nathan MacKinnon does it every year, and regular season as well, but his playoff numbers are eye-popping.
He is special. He finished the year with 105 points.
Not right, Tone.
In an abbreviated season.
All right.
And the Hart Trophy. A foregone conclusion. Don't worry, we're going to show you more 97 highlights. If you can just listen while watching, I want to share a dazzling parallel. So, Wayne Gretzky, in 81-82, won the Hart Trophy and got every single first-place vote. This year, Connor McDavid, the exact same achievement. When there's no doubt, that's saying something special.
That's good. Shows people are paying attention.
Yes.
Because he's hard to miss. I mean, trying to describe, find the words to express his greatness are hard to do at this point because we've seen it year after year. But the way I look at it is that in a game that is always improving, always changing, he is the most evolved offensive player that the game of hockey has ever seen. The game's about speed. He can skate faster than just about anyone ever has. His hands, and maybe most importantly, his mind, operate at a speed that we have almost never seen. Look at these names. Look at these points. Again, 25 years, and he is second to the trio of great Penguins who played in a different era.
True.
You're not supposed to be able to do what he has done in his career, and not what he did last year. He had over 100 in a 50-something game season.
Yes.
Now, that's not right. That's minor hockey stuff. That's junior hockey stuff. And yet he did it and made it look effortless, which we know it wasn't. But he has just the ability to find space, to create speed, and to be widely recognized as the best player in the world, as he already is, as young as he is a testament to his greatness. And like so many other great players before that we've talked about on this countdown, he also was improving. He couldn't shoot the puck great when he got in the NHL. But why would you when you get a breakaway every time you touch it when you're growing up? But now he shoots it a lot better. He wants to get better this year defensively, play away from the puck, be better on faceoffs. He is going to continue to add and round out his game. But the foundation of it is that he can go faster than you, his hands can go quicker than your mind and your stick, and he can fool goaltenders with all that going that fast. And that's not going to change anytime soon. This guy, we talked about generational talent, tossed around every now and then. He is it. He is the heir apparent to Sid and to Ovi, the next great, all-time great, historical great player to come through the NHL.
Amen to all that. And as the captain of the Oilers, he always says the right thing. Listen.
Definitely thinking the time is now. I think I'm 24 years old. Nursey and Dry are 25, 26 years old. Nuge, 28. So, the old excuse that we're young guys is no longer. So, for us as a group, I think the time is now to start really pushing this thing. We have high expectations in here for ourselves, and we've been building something here for the last couple of years, and it's time to put it all together.
He has a maturity about him, yet a humility. Because look, 5 years in a row, he's been at the top of the charts.
And a trend here.
Deservedly so.
Yes.
The guys next to him are pretty good, too.
And the fact that he's just 24 years old. I mean, he's just growing into his prime. His best years are right now. And he knows the one thing he hasn't done is win the Stanley Cup. But, man, has he put up some highlights over the years.
And big numbers. This is honorable mention. This is where he got to 100 in 53 games, a 4-point night against the Canucks.
But at the end of the year, he was putting up 3 or 4 every night.
Yes, he was.
You're like, oh, well, he's going to get there. He's going to get way past it.
Yes.
And the fact that it was Leon from him on the power play seemed so appropriate. But the reaction of his teammates, I just try to count the stick handles from the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, how are you supposed to handle that? And not even worried about someone catching him. He has just got it in cruise control. Don't even need to stride because no one's going to come close to him. Head up the whole way. And you got to almost guess when he's going in on your 1-0.
That was his 9th career hat trick.
I like this one. Picks it up and
yes.
Going to look shot. Watch his eyes. He doesn't check Markstrom once. I'm going to pass it to Nuge. Okay, that's cheeky.
Pretty.
But I love the release. The fast stick handle and then zip it home. All about deception and misdirection. And man, is he good at it.
Here he comes.
Oh,
he's
boy.
very fast.
Don't do it, Alex.
And then
I know. But what are you going to do? You get a drop pass to Connor McDavid. You got one choice. I'm backing up because I can't meet him. Tanner Pearson blows a tire because he's terrified of the speed. Alex Edler, a long-time good defenseman. He's like, I'm getting back to my hash marks because I can't turn with him. And then he cuts inside. I talked about his improved shot.
And this is 97.
Oh, no.
Splitting the D.
No. That's not supposed to happen. That's the stuff Mario used to do. The flexibility. And some strength. And some strength to not be knocked off stride. Another beaut.
Leafs fans feared that this would be number one, and you knew it was going to be.
I don't know if anyone touched him. Like, no one even brushed him off stride. You got guys who are like Olympian caliber players, and they could barely even make contact with them.
Yes.
This is novice hockey. This is the one kid who can skate better than everyone else, except it's in the NHL. And I love a player knows when they've done something special when you give that kind of smile after a goal.
He's not showing up his opposition. There's nothing about that in his game. So when I watch him, I think of the Harlem Globetrotters. They're playing against a team that is, and I don't want to spoil the surprise, the Washington Generals haven't won since the early 70s. They're supposed to lose. The guys he's going against are trying their best.
Yeah, they'll do anything to stop him.
Right.
And they're not able to. No matter what we do, no matter how well we play it, no matter how much we game plan, we can do everything right.
And still.
And it will not matter.
Yes.
He will beat us, and you just have to accept it. Kevin Durant's going to get us 35. Like, no matter how good you play defense, it's going to happen. That's where he is in his career now. If you can keep him to 1 or 2 points in a game, like, okay. I mean, we did a pretty good job. He's that great.
He truly is spectacular. Now let's shift our focus to young players that could break into the 2022 top 50. There's some choices there, Johnny. Pick one.
All right, now I love UC Saros. I think he should be there as well. But I'm going to focus my attention on the guy on the left. Jack Hughes. I am all in on this former #1 overall pick to have his breakout offensive year as far as numbers goes. I love what he's done in his growth in his game. I love the fact that he's had some tremendous possession numbers, zone exits, zone entries, chance generation. He suffered a horrific shooting percentage for himself and his teammates. Got better teammates now. Going to be in a better team. I expect him to get around a point a game next year. Devils will be better. He will find himself, not in the top 10, but on this list next year.
That's a bold prediction, and American hockey fans are hoping that the former #1 pick gets there.